So yeah, let's already 10 o'clock GMT. Excuse me. So let's get started. Okay. Let me know you guys prefer this kind of look. Someone messaged me about potentially wants to see me looking at the chart. It's a different feeling. So hopefully this. If everyone's on, let's get started. Okay. Good. Let's get started now. So I'm going to start with the indices first. Okay, it seems like we had this bearish kind of run today, and most of the dollar and yen pairs have been moving as well. So, and then we'll jump into currency. All right. So let's look at S&P 500 first. Okay. We remember at least the last session or the weekly session I mentioned it's a little bit unclear what this correction will be doing. It looks like it's more of a neutral correction to the upside, or it can just start breaking down. So in this case, we did see the bearish run, right? We did see this bearish push out of this correction, and we're approaching this low area now. So I really won't be jumping into these trades. What I want to see is the upcoming, days or next week. Can we just okay? And that's a really significant area. If we break the low, and then if we form, similar correction like this, I do expect it to continue lower. Okay, if we zoom out here, we're just forming a style pattern like this pretty much. Okay, and also next one is really right. So be a little bit more careful, be a little bit more patient that the market is likely to be reacting to the result. Doesn't matter who wins or who loses, is really irrelevant. The point is the market is going to react to what's going to happen to the result. Okay, and I usually wouldn't jump into any trades if that happens, because most of the dollar, yen pairs, or all the indices, U.S. indices especially, is all going to be affected. In fact, I think global market will be affected by this. Okay, global market, from a global perspective, is that they can be affected by that. You can see that most of the indices have very bearish look today, right? So the chances are, if whatever happens, and if S&P, if all the indices start collapsing, then I do see all the other global indices are going to do the same. Okay, that's what I see on these. Okay, so that's what I see for the upcoming week or so. We might get this bearish move continue. So let's go through a few other indices. Nasdaq is another one. So same idea. Last outlook, or the weekly outlook I mentioned, was a little bit unclear what this will do. Looks like it's a descending channel to push the price up, but instead it's just a continuation correction to push the price down. Okay, so this one has a little bit more room to the bottom. Okay, so if you see some sort of correction here, I do see as a valid sell, but I would prefer to see what price would do if it breaks this low, because we have so much room to the downside. If you're looking for that bearish run continuation, we just have a larger ascending channel. We finally get this M tail pattern that we're looking for, and then if we can break this previous low, then yeah, I do see that kind of the next market correction to continue lower is a very possibility. Okay, so I'll go through the other indices relatively quick. If you guys recall, I was in one manager, just get tagged out for half, manually exit for about half a loss, half loss. Sorry, I can't talk. But price is still dropping. Okay, so overall the analysis is correct. It's just that the entry and the price take a little bit longer to overall move, that we can still get that down move towards the low, and then see what happens if we're going to break out of this correction to continue forward. Very similar, like a few of the European indices, German 30, European 40, France 40, they're all very similar, right? You all have that bearish push down from the London session, okay? And I just saw the news today about, is it France that's going to, again, limit or restriction on the public because there's a surge of the virus breakout, and that they have to do some restriction once again. Okay, so that is really that affects the market obviously in a certain way, and that you're seeing these bearish moves, and it's not surprise, all right? So knowing that most of the indices are in the bearish kind of trend now, so be careful if you're in some, or be careful, don't rush it if you're going to jump in. Be a little bit more careful on what will happen when the US election finishes, okay? So that's what I see on the indices. Most likely is the S&P and Nasdaq looks more favorable for me to continue a potential short. All right, so let's go to the currency pairs. Let's look at the currency pairs and see what we're getting at, okay? So let's look at dollar index. So dollar index, it looks like it's going to be resuming. I made a post just now. It looks like it's going to resume this potential bullish opportunities, right? Yesterday, or not yesterday, the last weekly outlook when the price was in this area, I was looking more as, can we continue lower? Can we continue lower with this correctional structure to push down to the previous low before the up move? But it looks like during this London session yesterday that we were getting this bullish push out, which is good because now that if this is the impulse and this is all the correction that it's going to make, looking for continuation would be very ideal for the upside, okay? And remember when the structure was like this back in mid-October, that I was looking for a potential buy from this area, right? There's no breakout from this correction. Instead, we just form structure, and we finally get the previous low of the previous low of this channel, and we pop to the upside, which is good. So, like I said, waiting for a correction here. Okay, don't jump into the trade. Waiting for a correction to develop here. We'll confirm this to the upside and here. Right? So that's why I see on dollar index now. I do see it a little bit more bullish now. Now that if this is the potential completion of this structure, then yes, I do start to see the next push up from here. This point forward. Okay, so let's move on to a few. Okay, so Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar. Again, if you guys were looking at this before, I mentioned structurally it could evolve into something like this or whatever and continue correcting. But because this move is really sharp, okay, because this move is sharp, and then this led me to believe that this is all the correction it's going to make for this move now, and we could potentially get the next push down. Okay, so we have the impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, looking for the next impulse, right? Looking for the price to break this previous low and then continue the short down to the higher time frame previous low. Okay, so I do see a potential now. So all I want to see now is the price is going to correct here, right? And I'm not going to jump into any trade just like this. It is consolidating here. You can see a little bit, which is what I mentioned yesterday, is that just because you see this strong bearish move, don't just jump into a trade here or here because you're likely to get tagged out. You see how bigger kind of price correcting, right? It's about 30, 35 pips or so, right? So if you're jumping into the low and you set a really tight stop loss, you're likely to get stopped out. So waiting for a little bit more development here, okay? That's my confirmation for this sell, okay? And I like to see that happening. I like to see the price correct during the Asian it's likely to do, and looking for a possible entry on the London session or New York session to continue this bearish move down. So that's Aussie dollar. Let's go to Kiwi dollar. So Kiwi dollar, this whole week we've been talking about this, right? Most of you guys are seeing the structure, and you guys gone in there and they're likely to take you out with a break even because the structure isn't finished at the time. But now, when we see this clearly, that the latest price action, you see that this push down and then push up, so M style pattern on the top of the structure, which is clearly on the lower. If we get some sort of structure here, if we get a continuation structure here, that would be very ideal for the continuation sell to the lows, okay? So this one is definitely on my watch list for today. Like I said, the Asian session likely to be correcting, so don't be rushed, okay? If it's going to go down, you're going to get that continuation correction to go down, and for looking to see what the price will do in this area or in previous low. Okay, but I do see this continuation continue if this is all the correction we're going to make for this move here. So impulse correction and looking for the next impulse down to the previous low. So that's Kiwi dollar. So Kiwi dollar, Aussie dollar look pretty good. You look at XRP today, I will. What other indicators do I use? I don't use indicators, by the way. There's no indicators on my chart. All right. So how are you, Jojo? I'm there very well. Thank you for asking. So let's continue to euro dollar here. I think euro dollar was one of the ones that was asked as well. Personally, the Kiwi dollar and Aussie dollar looks a lot better because you can tell that euro dollar is still in this correction. Okay, it didn't break out. If you want to consider this as breakout, no, I consider this is still within this overall channel. I want to see a confirmation breakout and then confirmation correction if it's going to continue lower. Okay, so comparing to the other dollars, I do see the Aussie and Kiwi a little bit better, which I'll go over a few other dollar pairs as well. But euro dollar for me, because we dropped down this already and we're potentially still in this overall channel, looking for a breakout, and then it would be more ideal in this case, and forming a right shoulder, whatever this correction is going to do, and then completing this out here. That's euro dollar. Let's jump to pound dollar. I think some of you guys are looking at pound dollar as well. Again, we're still in the structure here. It's not, the price hasn't break out of the structure yet, so anything can happen. We can just move down here and then continue upwards like this, right? And that's why I'm saying the other dollar pairs are a little bit better, even though if the dollar is going to gain strength, I'm sure most of these dollars are going to have that bullish push. But for now, what I'm seeing is potentially making a right shoulder if it's going to correct here. And because we're close to this bottom here and we're close to this overall higher time frame structure, there's not too much room. I would just wait for the completion breakout and then look for a correction to continue lower. Okay, that's why I see pound dollar. So dollar CAD. See some of you guys calling dollar CAD right in the Telegram, so that's good. And I was looking at dollar CAD as well. Remember, I mentioned this in the weekly outlook or in the last outlook that I was waiting for a breakout and then waiting for a correction. Just didn't catch this one. Okay, I just didn't see enough. I thought this was a little bit sharp move down. I didn't like this correction, and I didn't get in this one. But overall, I do see that this is the impulse correction, an impulse, and then a lower time frame continuation push up. So that's all good. And looking at this now is that because we pushed up so much already, and we're relatively close to the previous top, I'm not really going to jump into any correction here. I do see the buy to continue, but I just don't like how potentially the risk reward is somewhat limited. I do want to see continuation to go out further and continue upwards, and that will give us more room to the upside. Okay, so for now, I'm still thinking the Aussie dollar and Kiwi dollar is the best out of the dollar pairs. And like I said, is that even though you're going to see a lot of pairs and currency that are going to have similar, dollar strength push, but you want to just choose one or two maximum, right? Because if they're going to go, they're all going to. If they're not going to go, if they're going to reverse, then they're going to reverse together. Okay, so that's what I see on dollar CAD. Let's jump into last few dollars. So dollar Chinese yuan. Remember someone mentioned this one, and I do see potential overall descending or falling wedge, sorry, and we have this previous double bottom as a potential kind of a reversal price action, and we broke out this falling wedge. So a correction here would be ideal to push the price up more. Even just to the previous top would be pretty good risk reward in this. And Chinese yuan, my wild card, well, not wild card, but more as my other preferred dollar pair is dollar peso. Dollar peso, a little bit better price action than a few of the dollar one I would just mention. So I like how the price is at the double bottom and hit the double bottom, and same idea, we're in this kind of a falling wedge, kind of a reversal structure. We're getting squeezed to the price, we hit double bottom here, and then lower time frame push up. So all I'm waiting for again is a lower time frame correction to form here, and I do see this buy very probable and very likely to happen. Even just to the top of this overall structure, I think there's quite a bit of risk reward for you to get. And if we zoom out here on the higher time frame, yeah, originally I was looking at this as an impulse, and this can be a correctional structure to push down. But the more this, as the price develops, the more as this is forming a higher time frame, kind of a descending channel. Okay, so a potential reversal, and we're at the very bottom of the price now. So I do like to see this push up, and if we can break above it and then continue, then I do see this continue all the way up to the previous top. Okay, so this is pretty crucial for most of the dollar pairs for this upcoming week or so, right? Especially because of the election, it's going to the result will happen. So again, be a little bit more cautious on if you're going to end these dollar pairs, because they're going to be very volatile in the upcoming weeks or so. Okay, so you don't want to get trapped into any of this into the market, right? You want the market to finish correcting and looking for the next impulsive move. So that is the dollar pairs of this remaining kind of 24, 40 hours to the end of the week. Like I said, Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, and dollar peso. They are my favorite out of the dollar pairs. Okay, so let's move on to a few other ones. Let's look at a few other ones that I'm looking at. I think someone. I'll go over Aussie Kiwi. I do like a potential buy. Okay, but I don't think it is ready yet. Okay, and I'll explain this why. Some of you guys may be seeing this as a clear kind of a descending channel, a reversal price to go up. Yeah, and I do see that. Continue just a little bit lower to this double bottom here. Okay, the clear lows of the previous price action. And if we can maintain a similar price action to getting squeezed to all the way down here, and then looking for the first bullish push up and continuation would be much more. It's not that this can just start popping out here and continue. And you see this is the very valid price action for the buy. It's just that I would prefer for the price to hit this previous low, and that way that will give you a really clear double bottom, a very clear potential going forward. So that's Aussie Kiwi. Okay. Let's move on to the few yen pairs. Okay, and I think most of the yen pairs, just like dollar pairs, had that the strength push out, right? So I'll talk about a few of the yen pairs, and again, I'm going to repeat myself, is that beginning of the week when the structure isn't finished, and I mentioned about, there's potential price can just form deeper correction or whatever, and up to me, since the limit session yesterday, price is clearly impulse out of this correction, and that made me believe that this is all the impulse. I mean, this is all the correction for this impulse, and then this is all the correction for this impulse here. And we're getting another impulse, which is good. So looking for a lower time frame correction to continue the sell would be very ideal. So very similar. I'll pick out a few yen pairs that looks the best. So Aussie yen looks good. Swiss yen is okay. I do see the head and shoulder here and continue lower. I think euro yen is a little bit better than Swiss yen. So obviously we're going to pick one out of the two. And we finally get this structure completion. Okay, we had this bearish move down, and we finally had this structure complete, and we break out. We passed the previous low. So again, waiting for a correction. Don't just blindly jump into this sell here. Be a little bit too risky. Waiting for a correction here to develop to continue the push down to the previous low will be very ideal. You can see that price is in this overall ascending channel, and then neutral correction, first impulse, first correction, looking for the next impulse. Right? Euro yen. Moving on to pound yen. So pound yen, again, looks like it could be ready, but this is one that looks like that can still develop into a little bit further. You see how, if I just move to this line right here, and there's nothing wrong with the structure continuing to this big still dropping, right? Whereas a couple other yen looks a little bit more clear that it broke out of this correctional structure, and it broke up very impulsively, making me believe that this is all a correction to correct the previous down move, and the next down move can happen. Okay, but still looking good on the higher perspective and looking for the next impulse, and we're potentially getting this head and shoulder pattern on a higher time frame as well. So that's pound yen. The last one is Kiwi Yen. So Kiwi Yen, similarly, that originally I was looking at potentially push the downside, upside to it, but lower time frame we see that impulsive move. I think some of you guys were talking about this in Telegram that maybe you guys got in as well. So very good on you guys sticking to your plan, right? And this is the key here. I want to explain a little bit is that some of you guys would ask me, and then I would mention about, hey, I'm fine sharing my analysis or sharing my outlook on it, but make sure you stick to your plan, because if you're looking for sell, and that fits your plan to look for sell, then go ahead. Just because I mentioned that I want to wait for a little doesn't mean you need to hold off on your trade. Okay, that's very important because if you continuously follow other people's opinion and you don't have your own bias of the market, then sometimes you're going to not enter a trade because someone said it, and then that trade will get you a profit, and you listen to that person, and uh, you won't listen to that person, and you hold the trade for a short, and then price continue to pop to the upside, and again, you will be upset that you didn't listen to that person. So have your own bias, right? Have your own analysis, have your own plan. Okay, in this industry. So anyways, Kiwi Yen, we see price, potentially is breaking out here now, so that's good. So I want to see it continue a little bit lower and then form a continuation correction to push the price lower. Okay, if we look at the higher time frame now, if this impulsive move is very probable for the next downside, right? So that is Kiwi Yen. So that is most of the yen pairs. I do like, again, is Aussie Yen and Kiwi Yen for continuation, and Euro Yen is also looking pretty good. So let's continue. Let's continue. Any question on these, just feel free to type it out and I'll take a look. And let's continue. Let's talk about Euro Kiwi, for example. I think most of you guys were talking about a potential buy, and this was breaking for a sell as well. And the reason why I didn't get in this sell and I got into Kiwi Swiss, because when we see the price breakdown, I think some of you guys were looking at maybe this was a correction or this was correction. I forgot the screenshot, but to me is not too the sell. Okay, that's why I didn't get in on this sell and I wasn't interested in this sell. I got in Kiwi Swiss with a buy, so it's pretty much inverse related, but I took a loss on Kiwi Swiss. But the point is that Kiwi Swiss had a better correction here on the lower time frame, and Euro Kiwi was a little bit more small, and it's not in depth for me. Okay, and that's why I didn't get into Euro Kiwi. But looking at what the price is doing now, if we just evolve the structure here. Now we're pretty much broke the previous bottom, and then price had this sharp reversal up, right? So a correction here would be the most ideal case, just like this case, right? Just like this case. So this leads to me to believe that we could be getting the next bullish push down, and then from the top here, again, I will be looking for the sell setup from the top. Okay, so not too interested in the buy, even though I know the buy can happen, but I will be looking for the sell once price reaches this area, and then looking for the fourth sell for me. And all three previous sell is getting me some profit, and I don't see why the fourth one wouldn't, because overall price action is still the same, right? So that is Euro Kiwi. Let's go over Kiwi Swiss, because this is the one I took a loss on. And the reason why, like I said, it's very similar price action. When the Kiwi was getting strength, we broke out of the structure, and I was looking for a continuation correction. And this to me was a much more clear continuation correction, even visible on the 1 hour, whereas Euro Kiwi, there was no kind of continuation structure. It's large enough for me to enter the trade, and that's why I choose Kiwi Swiss instead. But that's what happens. I'll take a loss here, and that's fine, right? Because that's in my plan to enter these kind of trade once we broke out of the higher time frame structure, looking for a lower time frame continuation to go up. In this case didn't work out, and looking to see what we'll do. Yes, we had this push down, but is it going to continue lower now, or is it going to form an inverse head and shoulder and continue upwards? And that's why patience comes in, guys. Waiting for a little bit more development here would be more ideal. Reporting from Singapore. So let's continue. So that's Kiwi Swiss. I went over Euro Kiwi as well, and I took a loss on Pound Aussie as well. Update this in my Telegram. This is definitely a trend I would just continue to take over and over again as well. So no emotion for me to take a loss here. I went over this, that we're in this impulse. Price move up very correctively. We had this previous top, and then we had this ascending channel within the larger ascending channel. First impulse, first continuation correction. I got in the sell here, and the price did push down a little bit, and then just popped to the outside. Most of the dollar, the two trade that I was in is going against it, and I took a loss there. But that's fine. I'm looking at this, and I want to say, I want to see what the price will do if it's continue going up. Is it going to hit a recent double top? and then looking for a sell like this, making this a M style pattern, interesting in the buy or sell. I would be interested to see what the price will do in this area for a potential reversal. But other than that, happy to take this trade over and over again because the risk reward was great. I had I think 50 pip stop loss. Let me just double check. Even just down to the lows here would be 6 to 1 already. That's a pretty good trade. Down to the previous low, it's doubling that, right? So I'm happy to take these trades, even if it's at a loss, as long as that's in your plan to execute these trades. And then, the next time you see the same trade, I'll execute again. And, probability-wise, I'm going to be in the higher probability side and capitalize maximum risk reward. Okay, so that's pound Aussie. That was my trade. So currently not in any trade now. Okay, currently just sitting on the sideline waiting for a little bit more development on a few of these dollar pairs and yen pairs. And that's it for currency, guys. So any question on the currency pairs, let me know now before I jump into I'll just jump into gold and I'll finish with crypto. Okay, not much other than the ones I mentioned, all the indices I talked about, and then the currency pairs I just went over that could have potential continuations. Okay. So why don't we jump into gold if there is no questions? Well, then we can talk about gold a bit. I think most of you guys, again, looking at gold for continuation, I would say, continuation sell. So why don't we take a look? So gold, this whole week, we've been kind of talking about a potential kind of a sell opportunity if price breakout here, right? I'm not sure if any of you guys got in the sell. I personally didn't, but saw you guys all mentioning this one in the group chat. So see if you guys got in, good job on that. I do see a potential correction during this time. So we had this impulse correction, and then during pretty much London session, we had this breakdown, right? So that's all good. And the only thing I would be watch out for is that if you're in this sell already, be aware of this previous low. Okay, can the price continue to break this previous low? Certainly possible, but it's reached this low. That is it going to have lower time frame reversal, and then from a higher time frame perspective, it could just be forming this potential kind of a continuation structure for this move, and then continue upwards. Okay, so you have to be careful on that, especially because it's going to happen, and gold is heavily correlated with dollar, right? So if the dollar gains strength, then gold will drop, and if dollar loses strength, then gold will likely to rise. Okay, so be a little bit more careful if you're in the trade. I personally is actually more. Okay, obviously this depends on what will happen to the U.S. election. So if it's going to continue lower, I'd like to see it continue lower and then hitting the bottom of this structure here, and then potentially having the bullish push up and then looking for a lower time frame correction. But we don't know and what will happen to the election. So better to be just on the sideline for this one, guys. Better to just let the market settle down once the election is over. Okay, it's going to be very volatile. You don't want to get trapped in when the market is in that volatility, because it's and your trades are likely to hit the stop loss. Imagine the rollover time. Imagine the rollover time for every day for currency pairs and whatnot, and imagine that going on for a few hours or even for half of a day or whatever. That's likely to happen when the U.S. election comes out, right? So you don't want to get trapped when the spread is 30 pips spread in some of the euro or pound pairs, right? You want the volatility to settle down and then get back into the trades. Okay. So that's what I see on gold. Okay. Ideally, is if you're in the short, just waiting for be careful when it hit the low. Is it going to continue breaking the low? Then hold the trade. But if it's going to have reversal price action, then you likely want to exit the trade. So that is gold. Let's jump into crypto last. There's really not much because you can see it's all red. This usually happens when dollar gains strength, right? When dollar gains strength, the crypto is likely to be bearish. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, I talked about Bitcoin last two update. And I was looking at this as a potential buy, and price popped to the upside. Again, no continuation, and then popped right back into the structure here. So it can still go up. Okay, it can still go up. It's just that It's a little bit messy here, in my opinion. Is this going to be building a continuation correction, or if this becomes some sort of reversal now, and we could potentially see the price drop down? Okay, so if you're in the trade from here, I think some of you guys were, at least one of you guys messaged me you were in this trade from this point on. I would certainly move my stop to break even or into some profit, or even just below this correction here, because it can just start dropping down and you want to still secure some profit if you're in the trade. Ethereum, I was looking at a potential buy here, if you guys recall last session, but nothing really formed here for the continuation. And very similar like Bitcoin now, it can just be this point forward. It still has a bullish kind of price action, okay? But it's a little bit erratic, and you can see that most of these cryptos are in a potential bearish move, and you don't want to be holding a long trade here if price is going to start a bearish kind of momentum now, right? You can see this as a potential way to see a structure. Okay, so you have the impulse, correction, impulse, larger correction, and then potentially impulse down as well, right? Somebody asked about XRP, right? So let's take a look at XRP. So overall structure is still a little bit more neutral, okay? What I like about it is that we're still in the structure here. We could potentially getting a little bit bullish price action. But when I see this price broke out here, maybe during a small correction to push the price up, but I didn't like how deep and how wide this correction is forming out. This is too big and too long of a correction just for even for this move, right? Or even if you want to count this as an impulse, but this is too big of a correction for just a simple small impulse like this. And that's why though I do see the higher time frame probability, impulse, correction, and looking for the next impulse. But this lower time frame kind of a price action is potentially holding me off on any of these entries, okay? And a little bit more confirmation now, is it going to break out and then continue in this fashion? Because I'm not worried about missing, some money here. What I want to capture is, overall higher time frame. If we zoom out here, we're just at the bottom of the higher time frame structure, right? So there's a lot of room to the upside, even just to the top, if not to the previous top as well. So I'm not worried about missing some pips here and there. It's more about, is the price going to resume its bullish move? Then I want to get in on the next impulsive trades, right? So that's what I see on XRP. And that's pretty much all the crypto. I'm not seeing anything else on crypto that I like, because I'm usually bullish on them. I don't want to be selling crypto. So I'm not seeing too much on any of these cryptocurrency pairs. I don't want to be selling, right? If you guys recall, Link was another trade I took a loss on, but it's potentially forming a deeper correction now. So I will pay attention to this one for a continuation. But because I already took a loss here, I want to be a little bit more careful on what the structure we built here and for continuation. I'm likely to build something like this, or something like this will be very ideal for me to continue the upside. Other than that, I don't see too much in terms of crypto. So that is pretty much it. Really fast one, but I'm happy to go through some of the pairs that you guys want me to go over. If I haven't mentioned anything that you're looking at, feel free to type it in here below, and I can take a look. Oh, very quiet, guys. No questions here, huh? I'll answer one that's privately asked me. So, what is your favorite dollar pairs? Yeah, I mentioned this in the beginning. I like Kiwi dollar for the same continuation here, and I thought I like dollar peso for that continuation as well. I likely to probably just enter one, if not two maximum. Two is definitely maximum for dollar pairs. But I probably just enter volatility I just talked about. I don't want to have $2 pair or more to be at risk, especially the election things that are going on. So I'll probably just pick one, and it's the same thing as the yen pair, guys. Now it's the same thing because if the dollar is going to be affected, it really affects the yen as well. Okay, so my favorite yen pairs, well, a little bit different. I like Aussie yen for that continuation. I like Euro yen as well, and I like Kiwi yen. But the best one I want to pick is Aussie yen or Euro yen for that continuation. Okay, so again, probably just pick one yen pairs if it's going to develop into that price action I want to see for that continuation, and likely to just hold on to one yen pair just like I want to hold on to $1 pair. And that is pretty much the maximum I like to be holding during this stage of time. Of course, it can already take off before election, but I'm likely to see a little bit more volume after the election finishes. Okay. So any other question, guys? Anything? Thoughts on gold tomorrow? Yeah, I mentioned gold. I do see it likely to continue. Okay, I do see impulse already. If it's going to form a correction here, then I definitely something like this, right? Very similar. You have an impulse correction, impulse, waiting for another correction for the next impulse, right? So I do see that happening. Okay, and but like I said, if you're looking for a short, just be aware of previous low here. Price can just go down here and then start reversing from this point forward, right? So if it's going to impulsively break it, then good, and any correction follow that, you will continue to sell. So that's what I see on gold. Any other question, guys? Any other pair you're looking at, or any? Feel free to answer any questions or comments. Happy to go through them. I went through a little bit fast today, but because we pretty much went through these instead of some of the euro pairs or pound pairs I was looking at, now I'm looking at the dollar and yen pairs, right? So, oh yeah, there was a question privately asked me about mindset, and I'll take this time to explain. Is that this question I answered before, I thought I answered it again. If you're wrong in your forecast or your analysis, and same answer that I'll give like what I give last time is that if you're wrong on your forecast, it's fine, guys. You're not always going to be right all the time. Okay, what's important is that when you're wrong on your analysis and forecast, is it because the price action didn't create additional confirmation? If that's the case, that's good, right? Because you pretty much just save you save your trading capital, you saved your 1%. The price did not develop into something that you want to take, then you move on to other things, right? It's all about your perspective when it comes to trading. Is that you can be upset that, oh my god, I made a forecast and the price went oppositely and I'm upset, or you can think of it as perfect. Price went opposite way and I didn't lose a potential 1% or one trade on this particular currency or particular pair, right? It's all about your mindset and how your perception is. Okay, it's not about right and wrong. You have to eliminate that thought process. If you're thinking about right and wrong all the time, you're not going to do well in trading because you're going to be wrong a lot. Okay, you're going to be wrong a lot of times where it's going to affect your emotion, your mood, right? It's better to think of it as just a probability thing. Think of it as, you know, a probability that you have, and you want to have an edge in that. You don't have to be right or you don't have to be wrong, right? I talk about this in the casino example, is that casino would never know the games that they offer, which casino doesn't care which next hand they're going to win, because all they care about is maintaining a good edge in the game, right? Their edge is always going to be better than the player's edge, right? That's why we call house edge. So the more hands that they play, the more the hands that they dealt, more money. It's exactly like trading, guys. Think of you as a house. You're trading, right? You don't know which next trade you're going to win, but you know that if you stick to a consistent approach, you have a good management, you have a good trading plan, then at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, you're going to have more profit than loss, and you're going to be profitable. All right, same thing as casino, guys. There's no difference in that. But instead, what most traders do is when you go to a casino, most players are gambling, right? They're gambling their money, so they're not having rational decisions. And whereas in trading, you're supposed to be a house having house edge, but instead you become a player in trading. So you're gambling, you're making decisions not based on rational analysis, not based on what the market is telling you. You're blindly entering or exiting the trade based on your emotion. So that becomes gambling, and then that is how trading becomes gambling like casino. All right. So I hope that makes some sense. I hope that answered that question that was asked privately to me. Okay, because I personally used to work in casino. Okay, and I can certainly give this example and personal experience on casino is a lot of people think casino cheat. Okay, I kind of laugh when I hear that, and then I can't say guarantee everywhere in the legal, but I can certainly tell you that the legal casinos out there, they don't need to cheat because as long as they host the game with the house edge, with a higher probability, they don't need to cheat, and over time they're going to be on top, right? It's simple as that. They don't need to cheat, right? Because they stay disciplined, they know the rules, and they maintain it, and that's how they're going to stay on top. It's the same thing as trading. Same thing with consistent traders is that they understand the probability. They understand not every trade they take will win, but they understand how to manage their risk reward. They know how same idea, they maintain a good edge in the market. And at the end of the month, you're going to be profitable, right? So thanks for the advice. Time for bed. Ready for early morning trade. Good job, reviewer. Have a nice night, buddy. Process of DXY. Yeah, I can take a look. So DXY, looking at the dollar index this way, okay, this is pretty much the previous low point, right? There's no previous low point moving forward, and that's just, you can tell why price is somewhat consolidating in this general area. Higher time frame wise, potentially this can be a reversal, a double bottom of the price, right? And then continue forward, right? That's why the dollar strength is potential. When we look down to the 4-hour charts or the lower time frames, um, this was the previous impulse, and this was a potential descending channel that I talk about that can be a reversal. And then we did get this push up, correction, and push up again. So making this just a one impulse, and then we have this deeper, a longer kind of channel correction. Okay, so that's why I look for me to believe that impulse, reversal correction, next impulse, continuation, looking for the next impulse. Okay, so this would be a decent risk reward trade. Same thing with a few of the dollar pairs that I just went over. So that's what I see on dollar index in terms of multi-time frame analysis. I like the higher time frame that it's stalling here, and lower time frame is showing you potential bullish opportunities. So that is dollar index. Thank you for your market update, Jojo. Enjoy your evening. Yeah, you as well, Richie. Nice to see you. Nice to see you interacting in my Telegram channel. So feel free to ask me more questions in there as well. Okay. Feel free, anybody, to ask me questions. One person asked me, they didn't know there was a group chat. So if you're in my Telegram, there's a group chat on the bottom right. You can click that. You can join our group chat just for that interaction with all the traders that are in the channel already. Okay, and I will answer question periodically when I see them that's addressed to me. If it's an important question, I usually will answer to it when I get a chance. But if it's some common questions that other traders can answer, then I usually will let them answer that. Okay. So that is it, guys. That is it. I answered most of the questions that were either message me publicly or private message me. So you guys another chance to ask me any questions if you do. Otherwise, I will end the streams here. Okay, a little bit quicker than usual, but I talk about all the pairs that I do think it's going to be potential in the upcoming day or two. And then, like I said, I will see how next week, if I look at this correctly, so November 3rd is going to be the result. Okay, so be a little bit more careful. That's next week, I believe, right? If I look at my calendar correctly. So that's next Tuesday. Okay, be a little bit market to be volatile during this period of time. All right. So that is it, guys. So happy to chat with you guys next time. I will do a weekly outlook market update. Uh, I will chat with everyone next time in that stream, okay? And I will periodically do our daily outlook and stuff like that. So feel free to tune into that. And that's it, guys. So thank you very much to watch this one, guys, and hope to chat with you guys next time. Very much.